All right. Today we're doing notes on composition of transformations. Okay. Compositions of transformations. You got that sheet you grabbed on the way in, right? Well, let me remind you, what's happening Wednesday? A test on transformations. Stuff you've probably done in middle school. Okay. So the last two assignments, which look like this, are due. If you don't have them, get them done ASAP, especially if you want to be ahead of getting your grade up instead of behind, right? So let's do notes for the composition of transformations, and then we'll get to our assignment, okay? So does everyone have this sheet you grabbed on the way in? Notice at the top, here you go. Notice at the top right, what do you see? Y'all remember that video we watched yesterday? This is not a center for ants. Yes, that one. All right. So, this is a center for ants. All right, so here we go. We are going to do these notes. And the notes part is going to be super quick. So don't blink. I see y'all blinking. All right. So, yeah, let your eyes dry out. Get those contacts popping off. All right, but seriously. Composition. What does that mean? You ready for this? Now don't blink. Ready? More than one. That's it. All right? Now that's the new thing we're learning today. Composition means more than one. Okay? So, again, more than one means composition. So, you might want to write that down real quick. So you notice I have these boxes of this little table of all these points. We're going to do a transformation, and then we're going to do another transformation. More than one, right? We're going to do two of them, two of them, two of them, and then we're going to do three of them. Okay? So here we go. First things first, it says plot the figure. So what are we going to do? Plot the figure. Let's do it. 3, 4. Everyone's graphing. 5, 1. 6, 3. You get a little triangle on there, right? And then you want to write those. You got something to write with? There's a little bag, pencil over there. Then you want to write those points down here. So go ahead and write down A, B, and C, or just copying it down from the instructions. So let's do that. 3, 4, letter A. B is 5, 1. C is 6, 3. So that first step should have been kind of easy. It's just graphing. It's just rewriting it. That's it, right? Yay. Now, we're going to have to do some transformation stuff. So, what's the first transformation I see here? It says, reflect across the line y equals x. And if you remember, y equals x is that diagonal line. So let's take a look at our notes for a second from 2 or 3 days ago. Right here, I see reflection across the line y equals x is going to be the rule y comma x. So I'm going to write that rule on my notes. Y comma x. So if I start with xy and it turns to yx, what happened? We switch the order. Don't change any signs. Just switch the order. Now luckily for us, everything's organized right here. So just take those red numbers and switch them. So let's do that. A prime will be 4, 3. And then we got 1, 5. And 6, 3 becomes 3, 6. Not too hard if you know your rule, right? Now let's graph that new point, those new points to get my new figure. So 4, 3, going to kind of overlap it. That's fine. 1, 5, and then 3, 6. If I connect them, they do overlap. And doesn't that look like it's been reflected diagonally, right? All right, so my next rule, my next transformation, right, so we're going to rotate 270 degrees. So let's go back to my notes. 270, the rule is y, negative x. Let's go write that on our notes, okay? Y, negative x. Now, I want to get serious with y'all for just a second, okay? Can I get everyone looking right here? Because a lot of people mess this up for a very simple reason. So if I can have everyone like seriously looking at me, okay? I'm being dead serious. You're looking at me in the eyes, right? Here's the question. Are we going to change the red first line, or are we going to change the blue second line? Okay? Now, I actually heard most people say it right. You are going to change the second blue line, okay? So look at me now, acting like a freak. I am emphasizing this so much because too many people mess up and they go back to the beginning and start doing that, okay? So you make a change, and then you change your change. And then you might change your change. Right. But I just want you to remember this. Once you have done a transformation, those are your new numbers. Use the new numbers. In this case, they're blue numbers. And they're new numbers. And they're true numbers. All right, so let's do this. We're going to take the blue, second row. Now, the rule says y, negative x. What two changes happen for y, negative x? And I would actually change the x first and then switch them, okay? Either way. So the x value is going to change the sign, and then you switch the order. Let me show you one of them. Which one am I using again? Second row. Very good. So 4, 3. I'm going to take that x value of 4 and change it to negative 4, and then switch them. What do I get? 3, negative 4. Very good. You see how that x changed and switched? What's my next one going to be? So 1, 5 becomes 5, negative 1. Sure. All right. 5, negative 1. And then we're going to change the x and switch them. We get 6, negative 3. Let's take those points and graph them, right? So 3, negative 4. 5, negative 1, and then 6, negative 3. That looks rotated 270 degrees counterclockwise. So, you see how that works? Let's try that on number 2. Same idea, now we have 4 points, but we can do it, right? So let's plot them first. So negative 6, 4, negative 2, 4, negative 2, 1, and then negative 6, 1. Makes me a nice little rectangle, right? Let's write those points, copy them down at the bottom there. Negative 6, 4, negative 2, 4, negative 2, 1, negative 6, 1. Now, my first rule, it says I'm going to translate. So when I have translations, I like to rewrite my rule as x, y. So I'm going to have x, and since it says right 4, does that mean I'm adding or subtracting 4? Adding, because right means plus, positive, right? So x plus 4, comma, and then we take our y. You going to answer this for me? So when it says y, or down 3, down is positive or negative, we know it's negative. So y minus 3. Okay? So all we're doing is adding or subtracting. So let's do that. So I'm going to take this negative 6, x value, and add 4 to it. So negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. I'll take this y value 4 and subtract 3 from it, and I get 4 minus 3, 1. And we'll do this a little bit quicker now. So negative 2 plus 4, 2. 4 minus 3, 1. Negative 2 plus 4, 2. 1 minus 3, negative 2. Negative 6 plus 4, negative 2. And then 1 minus 3, negative 2. Okay? So let's graph those new points. We've shifted it to the right and down. So negative 2, 1. That overlaps. 2, 1. 2, negative 2. Negative 2, negative 2. Boom. So does everyone see you got that shifted over rectangle to the right and down? All right. Then we got another rule, another transformation, right? And then this transformation, got something right with? This transformation, it says reflect across y. Do we know the rule for reflecting across y? Let's see. Let's take a look at the notes. So reflecting across y is negative xy. Okay? So negative xy. Let's write that down. The only thing we're going to do is change the x sign. Of which row? The second blue row. Okay, let's do that. So the x value right here is negative 2, becomes 2. And then the 1 stays the same. All right? Just change the x. This 2 becomes negative, 1 stays the same. This 2 becomes negative, negative 2 stays the same. This negative 2 becomes positive, negative 2 stays the same. So kind of fast, but all your x's change and all your y's stay the same, right? Then, now this might seem like a trick. This ain't no magic trick, but I want you to graph those 4 points and see what happens. Bet. 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 Drop the mic. 2, 1, right there. Negative 2, 1. Negative 2, negative 2. Right there. 2, negative 2. What the heck happened? All the points, all the vertices are in the same, well, they look like they're in the same place, but they've actually reflected. Except, right, so basically, the reflection happened, it was cutting the rectangle in half, so when you flip it, when it's cut in half, it's the same thing, right? This is an S word we call symmetry, right? And it's mathemagical, right? All right, so it looks like the same thing, it's really been flipped, but it is what it is, okay? Same figure. Now, we're going to take off a little bit of the training wheels on number 3, but let's flip it over. Look at number 3. A center for ants. What's different about 3? So we start with no points, but we start with a graph, right? So that's fine. We can take the graph and we can get those points. So let's do that. So letter A is negative 3, 7, yeah. And then B is negative 3, positive 4. Everyone write this down? And then C is negative 5, 2. Okay, so we got those points pretty easy on the back side, number 3. We just looked at the picture, we counted them up. Now, you're going to do these 2 steps, but just to make sure we understand what the rules are, let's go back to our notes. Rotate figure 90. Well, what does it say for rotating the figure 90? Negative yx. So let's write that rule on our notes. Negative yx. And then our second rule they gave us is right here. So I want you, okay, I'll give you some minutes here. Okay, I want you to be able to finish this one and graph them. Okay, if you finish before we go over it, go to number 4. See if you can do 3 transformations. Okay, but let me give you a little time limit here. All right, let's see what you got. All right. So let's see if you got what I got. And if you're not done with it, cite. So negative yx is our rule, which means we're going to change all those y's, and then we're going to switch them. So this y of 7 becomes negative 7, and then switch the order to get negative 7, negative 3. Is that what y'all got? Okay, and then negative 4, negative 3. -2, -5. And then switch them. -7, -3. -4, -3. -2, -5. All right, so that's a 90-degree rotation counterclockwise. And then we remember, because we're so smart, that we take the second row and we apply the translation rule. We add 4 to the x's, we add 2 to the y's. So -7 plus 4, -3, -3 plus 2, -1. -4 plus 4, 0. -3 plus 2, -1. -2 plus 4, 2. -5 plus 2, -3. Okay, whether you can do that mentally or with the calculator. And then graph them. So -3, -1, 0, -1, 2, -3. And that looks shifted over, okay? Cool. So make sure you have those graphed. Now, number 4, I'm going to give you some time. I want you to try number 4 from scratch, and notice number 4 has 3 transformations, okay? So, what I want you to do is do number 4. If you're so smart and so fast that you finish that, you may proceed to the next page, which is the assignment that you're going to eventually rip and separate, okay? But I want everyone to try number 4, and then we're going to go over it together. So I'm going to give you a little extra time here, double the time. So let's see what you got. Like that, okay? So everyone's doing number 4, starting from scratch, and you know how to get your rules, right? So just in case you need it, I'm going to put the rules back on the board. Okay, so now you should have these from before, but there's the rules. So let's do it. Okay, back at it again. Here we are. So, with our 35 seconds. Well, all right, I'll give you 30 seconds. Finish up, and then we'll talk about it. 30, 30, 30. Everyone's finishing up number 4. Did somebody call? All right, here we go. Number 4. So let me get rid of this first. Goodbye. All right, so did everyone graph these points first of all? 5, 5. 5, 5, 5, 2, 3, 2. So you started off with a little right triangle, right? Then we wanted to write down our rules. So it's going to be reflect across x, reflect across y, dilate by a factor of 2. So reflecting across x is x negative y. Reflecting across y is negative xy. So let's write down those rules next to our wording here. So x-axis is x negative y, and then y-axis is negative x, y. And then what is dilating by a scale factor of 2? What do I do with that? We multiply. Remember, dilation by a scale factor always means multiply by the scale factor. So really it would be 2x, 2y. Okay? So multiply everything by that number, yeah. So first I'm going to write down my points for the original that I should have done already. 5, 5, 5, 2, 3, 2, and then f prime. So remember, what am I doing? For x negative y, the y value, the sign's changing, and that's it. Okay, so let's do that. 5, 5 becomes 5, negative 5. 5, 2 becomes 5, negative 2. 3, 2 becomes 3, negative 2. So you change all your y's and you write this stuff down, and then you graph them. So let's do that. 5, negative 5. 5, negative 2. 3, negative 2. And that is reflected across the x-axis. And then, remember, we got serious. What do I use to get the third row? Use the second row, right? I'll do it in green, and I'm going to take those numbers, and the rule this time is negative xy. So take the second row and change the x's sign. So positive 5 becomes negative 5. This stays the same. This positive 5 becomes negative 5. This stays the same. This 3 becomes negative 3. This stays the same. And then I graph it. Negative 5, negative 5, negative 5, negative 2, negative 3, negative 2. So you should have another reflection, right? Which I see some people did that, but then the last step, what do? So remember, dilation, multiply. And the scale factor is 2, so let's multiply everything by 2. Which row am I going to multiply by 2? The third row that is green, right? Always take the prior row and change it. So let's do that. Negative 5 and negative 5. Both of those times 2 is negative 10. Negative 5 times 2, negative 10. Negative 2 times 2, negative 4. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. And negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. So I got all my points. And my final last step is to graph that. And let's do that. Negative 10, negative 10. Negative 10, negative 4. Negative 6, negative 4. And I've got a dilated, larger triangle. And that's good. Okay? So you may take your notes and rip them. Okay? Not in half. Separate the staple. The second page is what you want to get started on. Obviously, we're going to have more time to work on that on Monday. You don't have to do it over the weekend. You can. But Monday, we're going to work on this and then start our review. We have a test on Wednesday. We're going to finish reviewing on Tuesday. That will be due on Wednesday when we test. So, go ahead and get started, please, on that assignment.